What's up, beautiful people? Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Crystal. This is Bond Book Reviews, and today we're going to be doing a wrap up. Now, I haven't done one of these in a while because I haven't really had much of interest to really talk about. Haven't had any many 5-star reads or even like controversial, like did not like books. It's just kind of been meh across the board, but I feel like I need to do one because it's been a while. So these are kind of the books that I have read from like February through to present day. I'm filming this at the start of May, so we'll say February to April. I'm not going to talk about every single book that I've read. I will tell you what books I've read and then kind of give you my rating, but in terms of like my overall thoughts and general opinion on them will just be the ones that are like memorable for good or bad reasons. If you want my particular thought on a particular book, I do put more detailed reviews up on my Instagram, so you can go and check out my Instagram page where I do review every single book that I read with a little bit more detail. So if you do want to see that, then head over to my Instagram. I'll have it linked down below for you so you can go and check that. This list is going to be pretty chaotic. There's going to be various genres. I have not been reading my usual stuff. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun time. Grab a cup of tea because we're probably going to be here a while. Mainly because it's been 3 months since I've read some of these books, so the ability for me to be able to recall what I actually thought or what they were about is probably going to take a while, especially with prego brain. And secondly, as I said, there's not much to talk about that actually jumps out. So it's going to be a lot of like, yep, it was 3-star, 3-star, 3-star. There's a lot of 3-star reads on this list. So I'm just bringing out my core pile data because that's the only way that I remember what I've read when I've read it. And rather than being organized and doing this before I started filming, I've decided to open it as I'm filming. Now, I believe I've spoke about most of the books that I read in February, so I won't really go back over those. I don't think I did a specific wrap up, but I just kind of spoke about some of the books that I'd read lately that I liked or disliked. So we'll jump like kind of straight to March. This first one from March that I want to talk about is #MurderTrending. This is by Gretchen McNeil. I won this. It was the first book that I ever won on a giveaway on Instagram. And it took me almost 3 years to read it after it being on my shelf since like 2018. And boy, am I upset that I waited this long to read it. This was definitely a 4.5-star thriller. It kept me turning the pages. I was very, very interested in this. The only reason why it's probably not a 5-star is because of the ending. It was lacking just a little bit in terms of what I wanted. I don't know what else I wanted, but I just wanted more from it. But if you're unfamiliar, this follows the story of a character, I guess you could say, who has been incorrectly imprisoned for the murder of her best friend, if I remember. And now she is in this place called Alcatraz 2.0 where she is required to effectively survive, and there are multiple people that are trying to kill her as a criminal, and people watch it and vote on it, and it's like a reality TV show. Well, she starts to kill the killers effectively, and then there's this whole like inside mystery as to who's behind the Alcatraz 2.0 and all these other like cool little twists and turns without it. There's a cool cast of characters that all have their own unique personalities that come together. Yeah, I just think it was really, really well done, really creative, and definitely kept my pages turning. And it is not too long as well. So if you are looking for a new unique thriller, I can recommend #MurderTrending by Gretchen McNeil. It is part of a series though that I haven't like picked up the sequel yet, and I'm not too excited to pick up the sequel. I feel like this was enough for me. I didn't finish this feeling like I needed to read the sequel, so it doesn't leave you with a cliffhanger. It just leaves you interested enough that you may want to pick up the sequel, but you're not like left with unknown answers. The next book I want to talk to you about that I read in March is called Sunset Springs, and this is a novella, audiobook, Audible only exclusive by Grayson Calendar. You would know them for one of their other more popular books, Felix Ever After. This was actually a 5-star read for me. I really, really enjoyed this, although it was quite a short book. The characters in this are really, really easy to get invested in. It follows the story of a male-male romance. Really well done. Small town romance. Readers are great. Grayson is a fantastic writer. If you've read Felix Ever After, then you know, but yes, definitely worth a pick up if you're looking for something nice and quick and you do have an Audible membership. Next, I picked up They Both Die in the End by Adam Silvera. This was a booktube favorite prompt that I needed to read, and although I had a good time with it and it was enjoyable enough, I don't see the hype. I'm sorry, unpopular opinion. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I think I gave it like 3.5, 4 stars, and I was being quite generous. Found it very slow and repetitive, and the characters, although cute and I was like rooting for them, I found myself like not as invested as I have in other romance friendships books like this that I have read, if that makes sense. So yeah, Both Die in the End, 4-star read for me. Then I picked up Heartstopper Volume 3, Alice Oseman. Beautiful. Heartstopper is an amazing graphic novel. If you have not heard of this, you've clearly been under a rock. It's recently been turned into a TV series on Netflix, and it is amazing. Well, this is volume 3 of what's currently a 4-part graphic novel. Volume 5 is meant to be coming out at some point, but yes, the characters in this are beautiful, and if she ever writes that they break up, Alice Oseman will be probably thrown from the rooftops. Book communities will kill her because so many people are invested in this relationship. It's a boy meets boy, boy falls in love with boy graphic novel that's just adorable, and oh, they're just so innocent and cute, and just, yes. So 5-star all round, 100%. Love this graphic novel series. Can do no wrong in my eyes when it comes to Alice Oseman. The next one I do have a physical copy of, but it is being loaned out to a friend, and that is Kill Your Brother by Jack Heath. If you've been around for a while, you know that I am a huge Jack Heath fan. He can do no wrong in my eyes when it comes to writing thrillers, and this was no exception. 5-star read for me. Could not stop turning the pages. Loved every second of it. So invested. He just knows how to write in a way that it's so well written, but it's not so vivid that you like start to just lose interest. That's what I love about it, is it's basically written in a point that you can read it really, really quickly, but also still feel like you're vividly able to imagine what's going on. So he does have a really good knack for writing thrillers. And this was one that originally came out as an audiobook, but then they finally released it as a physical copy, and I was so stoked when they did because it was phenomenal. So Kill Your Brother by Jack Heath, 5 stars, 100%. Jack Heath can do no wrong in my eyes. Next is Gracefully, Grayson, and on the baby shower this weekend I actually gifted this to somebody else to enjoy, because after I had read it I felt like more people needed to experience this book, so I gifted it to a non-binary friend of mine, and they're going to read it and enjoy it, because I just feel like it is a really well done story about a trans boy who is going through high school and just learning their sexual identity, and I just think it's really well done. So yes, 100%, that was a 4-star read for me. I think the only thing that lost me was just it was quite short, so it felt a little rushed at times, but overall really well done, great representation, good little queer book if you're looking to read one. This is when we spiral into the Ice Planet Barbarian phase. Now this was through March, April and May. I have now read 7 of the Ice Planet Barbarian series. I believe I have just started the 8th. It's all become a blur to me. I have not been able to stop. It has been my filler book, so pretty much every single time that I'm feeling like I'm in a little bit of a reading slump in whatever I'm reading, I pick up an Ice Planet Barbarian book, smash it out in one day, and then that gives me the motivation to re-pick up back what I was reading. So this was very helpful when I was reading The Stand by Stephen King, because I definitely needed some motivation to get me through that 1400 page chonker. But yeah, so I picked up Ice Planet Barbarians in March, gave it like 4.5 stars, and loved it, and have continued to love every book in that series since. So I've read book 1 to 7, and I've just started book 8, and they have all been at least a 4-star read, if not higher. If you are unfamiliar with the Ice Planet Barbarian series, it is pretty much alien smut is probably the blanket description for it, but there's so much more than that. There's also like a sci-fi plot behind there that just like intrigues me. The characters are really, really well written, and the smut in this is actually probably some of the best I have read in a while. I mean, like, I don't read a lot, but from what I have read, it is definitely well done. And Ruby Dixon, yeah, good on you for writing this story that, although it is not predominantly a very creative plot, it's not so smutty that you don't enjoy it, but there's enough there to keep you going. It's like the perfect combination of plot and smut to intrigue more people than just a standard smutty book would. Next up, I picked up a book that was like a friend recommendation that I'd been holding on to for like a long time, and I finally needed to get to it, and that was Goodwood by Holly Throsby. I feel like if you've read Dry by Jane Harper, this is a Aldi version of it. This is like the name brand version of that. It is not terrible. It is just not as well done. I found myself a little more bored than I did. It is definitely a slow burn thriller. Like, it takes a while for you to get invested in the thrill of this. The ending was a little bit more satisfying than I was expecting. When I got to about 70%, I started to get a little bit disappointed, but by the time I actually got to the end, it did rescue itself. I think I ended up giving it about 3 stars. So if you are a fan of The Dry by Jane Harper, you will either love or hate this, because you will find it either too similar and like a knockoff version of it, or you'll be like, yes, I got to experience something else that's given me the same kind of vibe. It is by an Australian author, rural kind of thriller. So yeah, it is okay, but I was a little bit disappointed because it gave me Dry vibes, but not as good. Next, I read an arc from an author that had sent it to me, and that is Returning to Adelaide by Anne Freeman. It is a really quick, short, how would I describe this? Probably like a women's fiction romance, but so relatable. Like, not your typical blah women fiction that I usually don't gel with. I absolutely loved Adelaide as a character. I hated her husband with so much disgust, but Adelaide herself as a character was amazing. She went on this like journey of self-discovery, and although there was times where I was so frustrated with her, I was so able to relate to her. And I don't know whether it's just because I'm pregnant at the moment and like what she's gone through, but yeah, the author definitely put some like stingy little, you can tell she's taking a stab at like an ex-boyfriend or something in this book, because yeah, it's spicy. It's not spicy, it's feisty. So yes, definitely worth a pickup if you're looking for a great like summer read. This would be like a good summer beach read. Pretty much Adelaide decides to re-find herself and ends up in the Greek Isles, is it? I think, yeah, Greek Islands. Has a little bit of a fun romance with the Greek goddess, and then returns to life, and she's better for it. And I just think it was so well done, other than the fact that her husband will drive you insane and you will jump into this book and want to punch the shit out of him. But overall, quick, nice little summer read if you're looking for one. Okay, so now we have The House on the Cerulean Sea, which I read last month. Unpopular opinion! I gave this one 4 stars. Don't get me wrong. It was very cute. I can see why so many people love it, but I found myself quite bored. And I think I only finished it because I needed to finish it for a book prompt for a readathon, and I had the audiobook. If I didn't have the audiobook of this, I probably would have struggled a lot more. I don't know why, but I think I just went into it with expectations like up here, and then it fell short of those expectations. So it's not that it was a bad book, it's just that it was bad in comparison to what I was expecting. Although all the characters were like quite cute and everything, I just felt like nothing happened. I just felt like nothing happened. That is honestly the opinion I have for that book, is cute but nothing. I feel like the only thing that kept me going was the fact that I had an audiobook and that TJ Klune is a phenomenal writer. Like, the writing is great. But in terms of plot, it really, really lost me in plot. Read this. This is The Winter Dress by Lauren Shatter. And if you are a historical fiction fan or you want to support an Australian author, this is worth a pickup, and it matches my dress. It is so left of center and beautifully well written. Lauren Shatter's ability to write a well-researched historical fiction that makes you feel like she lived the experience herself. Oh, it was just so well done. Thank you so much to Lauren and Simon & Schuster for sending me a copy of this, because I am so glad that I got to be a part of this blog tour and get this special edition copy sent to me, because I will cherish it forever. Such a good book. I can't even explain to you what this book is about without giving away the amazingness that it is. So have a look at the synopsis, take it with a grain of salt, and then just experience it yourself, because it will take you on a ride. Definitely worth a pickup. Just because I need to like scream from the rooftops that I did this, that I finally have read The Stand. I did it. I got through these 1,400 fucking pages. It took me almost all month. It took me 17 days to get through this. And I think the only reason I got through it was because I was part of the Stand By Me-a-thon readathon, and I had multiple people reading it with me. They were all finishing, and I was the last woman standing. I was the last one to get this finished. And I want my 17 days back. I want my time back that I wasted investing in this story. Plot, fantastic. Idea, fantastic. Execution, what the actual fuck did Stephen King take before writing this book? I'm all for weird writing. I've read Stephen King's other works, not a lot of them, but I've read his other stuff. And I felt like I needed to be high to be reading this book and actually understand what the fuck he was talking about. Because half the time he filled it with so much filler that I kind of almost forgot where I was or whose story I was reading. It would take me half a chapter to refigure out where I was. And it took me almost half a book before I actually could figure out who was linked to who. And then all this shit happens. And then you're left with 90 pages to conclude this like epicness that has happened. And the conclusion? I want my time back. Stephen King, you owe me 17 days. That is all I have to say. Now, I read a graphic novel, which was Rat Queens Volume 1, which I really loved. This was phenomenal. This was recommended to me or came across my radar because of Becca from Becca and the Books. She loves this series, talks about it a lot, and sells it much better than I can. So if you want to know what it's about, go check out her videos, because she's so much better at describing this than me. And it was a bit of fun. I really liked the art style in this. I really liked the characters. I'm excited to see where the rest of the series goes. So yeah, definitely gave this one a 4 stars. And it is worth a pickup if you're looking for something that little bit different and you are looking for a graphic novel. The characters in this, I just love their sass. They are so sassy. So yeah, definitely that's where it got me, is characters. Now we have Across the Nightingale Floor by Leanne Hearn, which thankfully Anthony can now stop bothering me about reading. This was a story that has been sitting on his shelf. It's the only fiction book he owns, I think. He definitely reads non-fiction. So yeah, he has wanted me to read this for a while. I picked it up. I finished it in like 2 days, I think it was, listening to the audiobook. Main character is pretty cool. I did like the main character, but overall I didn't love it as much as he did, like, obviously. But I think it's just because I don't have as much of an interest in the shinobi and ninja lifestyle that he does. I think that Leanne Hearn did a pretty good job of keeping the culture as close to realistic as possible, but I would have loved to see something like this written from someone that is actually own voice, because obviously this is very like Japanese culture-esque based, and Leanne I think is like American or Australian if I recall. I don't know, but yeah, she's not Japanese, obviously, but she does start and preface the book by saying that obviously she used a lot of Japanese names, but like obviously everything is not correct. But I feel like, yeah, she did an okay job, but I just feel like it was losing some of that authenticity in it. And it would have been great to see something like this done from someone who had the knowledge of Japan a little bit more. But overall, I had a good time with it. It was quick, easy to read, quite exciting. A lot happened, plot filled, and gorily written. So the fight scenes were really cool to read and things like that. Will I continue the series? Probably not. Sorry, Anthony. But I'm glad that I have finally ticked this off my list for him because I know he wanted me to read it. And last but not least, we read Cydna by Melissa Myers, which was my favorite book of the month of April. I really enjoyed this. I will definitely be continuing the series of this. Pretty much this is a Cinderella retelling that is based in New Beijing, where Cinder is a cyborg. That's all you really need to know to have a good time with this. The Lunar Chronicles is definitely a series I will be continuing with. I loved Cinder as a character. I love the cliffhanger we've been left on. I love the political intrigue of this. It is just very well done, and I am very excited to see where the rest of it goes. So yeah, that is the last book that I read in April, and probably my favorite in April. So there you have it. They're the books that I've read, well, most of the books that I've read in the month of like March, April, and I think one of them was maybe in February. I don't know. This has been a long video. It is really hot sitting in front of this light right now. I'm gonna go make dinner. Thank you so much for watching. If you have made it past all of my rambling so far, leave the shoe emoji in the comment down below. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and have a happy weekend. Bye.